the essence of the movement. And while that vision is adequate as a way of remembering what this period is like, I want to complicate this and say that I think increasingly historians see the Enlightenment as first and foremost a populist movement, a movement that is born out of the strength and vitality of urban civil society, first in two countries, in England and the Netherlands, and out of that tinderbox that civil society provides, you can start the kind of fires that are started in the 1680s and that continue to burn right up into the 1790s. What do I mean by civil society here? I mean, first of all, in the case of the Dutch Republic, Dutch government was built on local civil society. The urban elites basically ran the country, and they met in clubs and societies and fraternities and coffee houses, etc. The Dutch were a population of about 1.2 million, and in 1700 were publishing 50% of all the books in Europe. And they were able to do this in part because Dutch censorship was virtually non-existent when it came to books not in Dutch. The good city fathers didn't really care very much what the publishing houses brought out in French or in English. And so you have this capitalist engine, if you like. I mean, these folks are there to make money, that is producing a vast quantity of literature in many languages, including Hebrew, Armenian, etc. All of those languages are produced in the Dutch Republic. And that in itself creates an atmosphere where it is possible to get just about anything published. And let me give you a sense of the kinds of just about anythings that are published in the very first generation of what we come to call the Enlightenment. And I see that as a movement that begins very abruptly in the 1680s under the pressure exerted by French bellicosity. The perceived tyranny of the French monarch and church is the impetus behind much of the early publishing that makes up a body of text that we can describe as enlightened. This bellicosity took two forms. One was the persecution of French Protestants, including the Waldensians. Suddenly a campaign is launched against one of the most ancient heresies in the kingdom. And this culminates in 1685 with the revocation of the Edict of Nantes. This gave French Protestants three choices: convert to Catholicism, go to jail, or try to get out of the country. Now, in fact, it was illegal to get out of the country. And so many of the people who did leave had to leave children behind, parents behind, siblings, etc. So what you create, one always thinks to oneself, what were they thinking when they did this? Because here you've got 250,000 refugees going to essentially Protestant Europe, angry, bitter, hostile. I mean, what did you think they were going to produce? But a body of literature that was hostile to monarchy and church, that was enamored of English government in particular, until you get the appearance now of Anglophilia and a lauding of the English form of government that emerges after England itself has its own revolution in 1688-89, again, against a Catholic king who is seen to be capable of and wanting to impose both Catholicism and absolutism. So this is why the 80s is this sort of tinderbox on both sides of the English Channel. And let me just give you a sense of what could be produced in this first, what I've called the radical Enlightenment, this first generation. We get the appearance for the first time